Good morning, everyone. Today is April the 15th, 2021. This is your pre-market show, StockCast. My name is James Mason. With me is Todd Derby. Todd, how are you doing this morning?
Doing great. So just want to let everyone know that I moved your tax day back a month, so you guys have an extra month to get your stuff filed. So you're welcome.
Man, I can't stand the IRS and taxes. Todd, you're gonna get me on a freaking rant already. We didn't talk about this.
I know, I threw you a curveball.
Oh God, I won't be surprised if I get an audit again.
Oh.
I've had 2 already, man. I hate it. Anyways, guys, yeah. So that's like downside of like trading stocks. Like, man, once you start like making money and stuff like that, they stay on your butt. It's stupid. So, anyways,
in your 2 audits, what was the number one issue that you felt like they wouldn't let go of, or they were really nitpicking you on that wasn't a real issue, but to them it was?
Oh, the last one where they said that I didn't pay my taxes, and I did, and I had all the proof, and it took about a year and a half to square away. Had to get tax advocate and everything, and come to find out in the end, the IRS technically has like 5 different departments internally, and when you call up, it's like breaking through layers of an onion. When you call up and finally break through a layer and you talk to someone important, they'll tell you the information you need, but there's another piece of the puzzle here. Now, in a normal world, it would just make sense. Like, okay, well, here's my information. Here's the actual letter that you guys had mailed me stating that it's your mistake. I don't owe anything. Can you just, send this internally to the other departments? And they literally say, no, you'll have to. We don't have no means to do that. And that blew my mind. They don't have
no means to communicate internally.
No, it's typical government stuff, man. Typical.
I'm going to pull that next time someone asks me for a question. Be like, nope, I can't talk to Johnny. You got to call him.
Oh, I'm going to do it back to the IRS. I'm really going to put my foot down to the IRS this year and show them what's up.
And going forward for the StockCast, so I'll be your new host.
Yeah, exactly. All right, guys. So Dow futures are currently up about 149 points. S&P 500 up 20 points. Today's looking like it's going to be a bullish day, but as we know with this market, that could do a 180, and who knows? So what I will say, and y'all heard it here first, the stock market's either going to go up or down today.
Well, thank you, James. I wish I'd thought of that.
I mean, I could charge for that info right there. All right. Yeah, that probably wasn't that funny. I said that joke like 10 times already. All right. Yeah, so today's Ilana's birthday, my daughter. So I'm very happy about that. She woke up this morning. We filled her room up in the middle of the night with balloons. She was kind of a little scared to wake up and kind of see the silhouettes of everything. And I don't know. We went in there and played with her with all the balloons, though.
I should have gave you some parenting advice on this. So you've established a bar for the first birthday. It will only get bigger and more extravagant and more expensive going forward every birthday hereafter. She'll be driving a Corvette by she's 12.
Oh, man.
Just something to think about.
I think we kind of went over the top already. I told my wife last night, I said, it looks like Christmas down here in the living room. And she's like, yeah, I know. I don't know. Whatever.
So my wife used to take birthday presents and not give them to her because we exactly what you're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
And she would like give them later on and be like, oh, your aunt sent you this gift. And she would have a birthday present 2 months later and then be able to wear that outfit or play with that toy because there's no way they can process all the stuff they get in one day.
Exactly, yeah.
All
like
right.
What I plan to do is if I get gifts from other people, I'll save it. And then later on, I'll be like, oh, here, take this gift from Dad.
There you go.
All right, guys.
All right, back to the stock market.
Yeah. So let's share some charts of absolutely nothing today. This ticker's just up here for no reason. All right. So you know what? Let's just go ahead and we'll knock out the question that everyone probably already has. And that is POAI. I am heavy in this and I'm not worried. This thing is going to have to do whatever it's going to want to do. And if it's a little bit too much for you because of your position size, you may either need to let up on that size a little bit or maybe leave the trade. And the reason why I say that is, and I've done this myself in the past, where I get overstressed on a trade to where it completely just owns my life and I'm upside down already and there's nothing I can do about it. And I just have to accept it and eat the loss and move on. Sometimes you can get some relief from it. You know, it really just depends on you as a person. And then whatever. But if you're just like overly stressed about something, you may need to step back from it. I cannot tell you how many messages I've gotten. People just like losing their mind. It's not like Predictive Oncology lost 80% of its value. Nothing has changed at all. We're still in the same zone. As you can see here in this daily chart, this is literally just a beautiful cup and handle already setting up. Now, is it going to drop down more? It's possible because people, yesterday people were panic selling. And again, like, I don't fault them for that. They're getting worried. They're getting out and whatever it is. Now, if this thing does shoot up, and I feel pretty good about it, at some point it's going to shoot up and if not hit my target price ranges, probably get close to it. But if it does shoot up in the future, I mean, if they have regret, that's just something they have to deal with then. I'm not saying that as a way to make you question, second guess yourself, but that's just the stock market. I mean, I've had to pull myself out of trades that stressed me out to literally, no lie, literally seconds later, it skyrocket and go beyond my target prices. It happens. You just have to just stay focused and go find that next one. So for me though, go ahead.
We should talk about though, just you and I had this conversation last night. As with APOP and FBIO, two recent successful trades, and we're still getting people who didn't sell and take advantage of the profit opportunity. So let's talk about selling zones. You mentioned this term, I think 10 days ago, 2 weeks ago, and I liked it because a lot of times we share a target price with our membership, and we have members who are like, well, it didn't get to the target price. Well, it was 50 cents from the target price, or it was $1 from the target price. And they hold on and they miss out on 4 or 5 points of profit. So
APOP is a perfect example.
Yeah, because you gave a target price of $10 and it got to $8.50.
No,
but in reality,
$8.80.
$8.80. And the reality is, many of us had a selling zone that was somewhere between $5 and $7. And so I think it's important that one of the things that you and I talked about was certain reference our call outs into a selling zone so members can understand that we're only getting to a target price if like it's a short squeeze happens, the right time of day it gets announced, everything comes together in a perfect scenario. But we might be trimming some of our profits, taking some profits once it hits the early part of that selling zone and riding it up. And I think we have to train or get some people, our members, to start to think about grabbing some profit on the way up.
Absolutely. And especially when you get to where you have 100% profits or more, think about it, guys. Like, it's completely fine if you if you close out half of your position, if you have, let's just say 1,000 shares and you're up 100% profit, if you close out 500 shares, that 500 shares pays for that entire trade. So you're free riding 500 shares. So if those free 500 shares keep going up, it's all 100% profit. It will always be 100% profit. So those are just strategies that you have to think about. And you just really have to pick what works best for you. I mean, you could literally free ride, get to 100% profits and really like never cash in, but get your money back out of the market and free ride everything and let everything just go long term if you want it. I mean, it's just a strategy that you'll just have to, choose what's best for you. But APOP was a great example. My target price was 10.05, and I'll show you how I got it. I mean, looking at this daily chart coming up here, you can start seeing this little resistance in this range, and that's how I got 10.05. Well, APOP shot up and hit 880. There were, if I remember correctly, there were 3 times to get out of this stock over $8. And people still held on to try to reach 10.05. And here we are at $2.69 today. And they're still holding those shares, when their average is probably like 3 something. So they went from having 200% profits to now being down probably 40%. That just doesn't make sense, guys.
Yeah, it's just unexcusable.
Yeah. So when you start getting those nice profits, I mean, if you don't have the strategy of like taking half off the table or whatever strategy you may do to protect yourself, at a minimum, you have to move your stop loss up. Now, keep in mind that pre-market and after hours, stop losses don't work. And they probably just do that, just to really screw us over as retail traders. So,
all right.
Yeah, Predictive Oncology, I am long and strong in it, and I plan to stay in this thing. I'm not worried about it overall. Now, if they come out and said something crazy like, oh, well, we're shutting the doors, they're going to be pissed off. But that's not even close to being talked about. They have roughly $30 million in cash on hand. They have so many stinking catalysts. And any one of those catalysts could drop at any moment and shoot this thing up. There are still 3 million shares being shorted or being held short. And it's ready. I mean, you can see it on the daily chart here. Nice cup and handle going. And it's just going sideways. I like this. Perfect setup on the daily chart. Catalysts. A ton of catalysts just waiting to be released. 3 million shares being shorted. Hopefully more. Because the more that are being shorted, the merrier it will be when they drop a catalyst, because they'll start covering like crazy. And that's what actually causes it to start shooting up harder. So, yeah, that's just what I see with Predictive Oncology. Now, let's talk about the big IPO of the day yesterday. Not EQOS. Hold on a second.
Coinbase.
Yeah, Coinbase. Oh, come on. There we go. All right. So this is the 5-minute chart right here. We can see how they open up. And Todd, I was actually surprised with how high this opened up here at 381. I heard what they were predicting it to open up as, but it's just, man, it's crazy to see some IPO that high.
So I agree, because originally it was going to be at 250, right? That was the initial pricing. And then they were supposed to kick off around 10:30 Eastern Standard Time, and it didn't open up until almost 1:30, and the CEO was on CNBC. I really think the later it got in the day, it built FOMO and built excitement for what was going on. And I think a lot of people just jumped on it and pushed it because they were sitting around waiting for it. And there was nothing else going on in the market. The market was a slow day yesterday. And you literally, when it opened, you could literally see other, like Tesla, for example, just took a nosedive in volume, and because a lot of money shifted over into coin, and it was just interesting. So I think the delay later in the day helped push the FOMO on that.
Yeah, I agree. So with Coinbase actually dropping like this, and we had talked about this yesterday, how I pretty much suck at like trading IPOs. That's why I don't trade IPOs. And I said yesterday that I would short it if I was going to trade it. Now, Todd and I talked last night. We was actually talking about this. Technically, I would have been right. But I told Todd I know what would have happened had I actually tried to short this yesterday. Coinbase would have ran up to $1,000. That's what would have happened. But Coinbase did sell off, which this is good in my opinion, and I'll explain why. It's still too early for me to even care about trading it because there's just not enough data for me. I'll look to trade this in September, and I'll tell you why. One, we'll have a little over 5 months of data. It'll be in that 5 months range, about 5 months of data, which will be perfect. But bigger than that, the lockup, the 180-day lockup for the insiders. What tends to happen, and I'll show you with ticker EQOS on the daily chart. This is what happens right before a lockup. Now, EQOS is a different scenario, different size float, and a different PPS value. This is also an EV stock. So it's apples to oranges. I highly doubt Coinbase is going to even make a push like this unless if it like tanks down to like $50 or something, which I'd be cool with. But usually around month 5, since there's a 180-day lockup, so 6 months, usually around month 5, people start putting that money in there. Now, what a lockup is, those insiders, once they get to the point of 180 days, that's when they can start selling their shares. But before that lockup happens, it creates this funky little squeeze with a lot of them. And Lemonade was another one, the company Lemonade. And it will start pushing up like this and making these just parabolic moves. So that's why I'll start looking at Coinbase in September, because that'll be the 5th month. I'll have enough data on the daily chart to start making an entry. And just depending on the PPS value at that point, if it's anything in the realm of where it's at now, I'll probably just take a couple shares, nothing major. But if it like really drops for the next 5 months, that would be perfect for me. Especially if it got down like below 100, whatever, and make a 100-point return. I would love that. Also, too, now that I said that and thinking about it, this will be something that I'll have to reassess then in the moment. And what I'll be looking for at that point is the entire economic state with market conditions. And
dig into how many shares are truly locked up, because this wasn't an IPO, it was a DPO. And so yes, their lockup rules are different than a truly IPO. So I'm only saying this so people don't rush down and go, all right, 5 months from now, I'm going to start buying into coin and wait for that to push up. We'll have to review at that time. Exactly. And that, as we get, down the road in the future, we'll get more of that information out there with like financials and filings like that. And that's all important stuff that you have to take into consideration. And you really just have to wait on it. This is that's actually, Todd, I'm glad you brought that up. That's actually what I mean by not having enough data right now for Coinbase. Given it enough time,
That's the things that we'll have to see. We'll have to see the price action. We'll have to see the filings, whatever reports that they give us. And when it's time, we'll make our decision based off that. So Coinbase sold off like crazy. A lot of people lost a lot of money. But it will be one to look at down the road.
Want to review a couple tickers before we get out of here?
Yes, but real quick, Steve Lunit had a great question. What's the significance about a cup and handle? So the significance about a cup and handle, it usually happens when a reversal is going to take place. It's better when it's actually on a longer time frame. So if you look at the daily chart and especially the weekly chart, the cup and handle, in my opinion, is really good looking. The weekly chart is freaking beautiful. And I'll show you real quick. So here's the cup and handle on the weekly chart. See it dip down. So it's sold off, consolidated. It's trying to come back up here and test these highs. Well, actually lows, but these lower highs. And what this is doing, it's showing that bottom. So what happens? It will come up here, test it, get rejected, come down here, consolidate again, and then it usually consolidates and then bounces and then rockets up and starts pushing upward. So it's usually a reverse in trend. That's why it's so significant. But at the same time, with this setup, we have a cup and handle. And don't get me wrong, if this thing would just naturally start bouncing and going up, and if it hits my price target at $4 naturally without any catalyst, I'm selling. I'm all about target prices. If it hits a target price, I don't care about the catalyst. It's just about making money. However it has to get there, it's just about making money, guys. All right, Todd, let's hit some tickers real quick.
All right. AMTX, Apple Mary Thomas X-ray.
All right, AMTX. Last update on the short interest, roughly 700,000 shares, 3.7% of the float, so nothing much. Shares outstanding, 27 million. Float, 18.8 million. So I like that overall share structure. See, oil and gas industry. I like that because it's going to be volatile. Hold on a second. Just looking at the filings really quick. I just want to take a glance here. Okay, so acquisition. Okay, so this whole vesting schedule, that was already set in stone. Really, that's not really significant. So when you're looking at these Form 4s, the first thing I look at is, was it acquired or disposed of? Right here, letter A, acquired. And the next thing I look at, the explanation for the reasoning. And it just says that, this happened based off of its vesting schedule. So this was already in this guy's or woman's package, and that's not significant, to be honest. But nonetheless, what's great about that? All the retail traders, well, not all of them, most retail traders out there don't have a clue how to read it, and so they just see that shares were bought, which helps them get FOMO, and they'll throw their money in it. And really, that's just all that matters in the end. Let them throw their money in it, push this thing up. You make your money. You be smart. You get out before them and go on about your way. Now, looking at this daily chart, I haven't looked back far to see of any pending catalysts down the road, but this thing is stinking exhausted. Let me throw up some lines. This thing, it's bearish. Well, I mean, it's bullish. It's bullish right here, obviously, but I'm bearish leaning on it because this is a perfect setup for it to pull back. You can see right here with this RSI, this is a bearish RSI divergence. We see the RSI right here at 90.8, and we see the PPS value at this range, and we see this next high right here, and we see the PPS value right here, and it keeps going up in price while the RSI is now struggling. The RSI is not getting higher, but the value is. And when that happens, and it starts curling over like this, hardcore, it's about ready to spell doom and drop. Now, just quickly looking at this and looking at the candles overall, let's see. There's going to be a support around 1340. This is 1325, but whatever. There's going to be support around 1340. It's currently at 2240. I do kind of expect this thing to pull back. And what I would look for here on the bearish side, if that's what you're looking at, is I would actually, at this moment, I'd wait for it to break below the low of this day, which should have been 2 days ago, at, let's see, so break below 2120 for a entry going short or puts if this thing has puts on it, and probably put my stop around the top of this candle. God, no, that's too high. Well, that's the price action. All right, so I wait for entry at 2120. I would put my stop in around 2450. So we'll just pretend that's 2450. So I don't have to play around with a couple pennies here. And let me put my entry. So I wait for my entry to go short right here, break below 2120. My stop would be 2450. And my overall target price would be 1340. That's if I shorten this. Hopefully you were looking at it bearish as well, because it's not looking good going long. So that's what I see for AMTX. What else do we have, Todd?
Let's look at one more. Last one here, EQQS.
EQQS. Is this correct? EQQS.
Now, let me look. That's what I wrote down. EQOS.
Okay.
They got to type better.
All right. EQOS. Actually, I had an alert trigger on this yesterday. Let me look up its fundamentals again. Let's update short interest. 752,000 shares, 2.8% of the float, so nothing much there. Shares outstanding, 37.3 million. Float, 26.8 million. All right. So this is that exchange that we spoke about last week. And yesterday, this thing pushed up pretty stinking nice and then just sold off. I'm willing to bet that it had a lot to do with Coinbase. So this is just going to be one of those things that it was taking on a sympathy play with Coinbase, and because Coinbase got smoked, this got smoked as well, since, you know, they kind of go hand in hand. So I would have to wait for it to break the highs of yesterday before considering it. And when I spoke about it last week, I honestly wasn't expecting it to really start pushing up again. And it pushed up a lot sooner than what I was expecting. So really now, kind of seeing what it was doing yesterday, I'd wait for an entry above 1405. I'm just trying to look for a stop real quick. Stop around 14.12, and then testing these overall highs. Probably put a target price around 21. Now later on, like I was just talking about, like 5 months down the road, if Coinbase does sell off and kind of go sideways or whatever it may do, if Coinbase would pick up and start making a strong bullish push, this will probably have another sympathy play, and it's possible it breaks these highs and creates new highs for itself. So this is EQOS. So, all right, yeah. Oh, really quick, guys. Todd and I was talking briefly right before the show started, and we've been starting up roughly around, well, kind of shooting for the goal of 7 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And the whole reason why I started that in the beginning was to catch early news in the market. But for weeks now, there hasn't been any news. So would you guys like to push it back an hour to about 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time? If so, just let us know in the comments. But Todd, that is all I have for today. Do you have anything else?
No. Someone asked, Century Construction's asking about what are the advantages of a Transparent Traders subscription offer. They just, what you're getting here, you're going to get 10 times more as a member. We have a chat room that's very active with all four of us, but Jeffrey and Jonathan spend a lot of time in there, and you're going to get Twitter alerts. You're going to get more detailed information. We're hesitant to share a lot of our membership information because people pay for that membership, and this is a free service here. So if you like what you're getting here, we have a 30-day trial for $1, so you can get it. I mean, basically, you get it for free. And if you like it, keep the renewal. If not, move on. That's no harm.
You can literally sign up and immediately cancel, and you'll still get your 30 days.
Yeah.
So that's actually what I tell people to do. It makes it easier on everyone in the end. That way, if someone signs up and they don't cancel, even though they've been told to cancel, and they get charged, I don't have to hear about them whining later.
Yeah.
All right, guys. So, Todd, that is all I have.
Have a good day. Happy and safe trading.
Everyone trade safe, and we will see y'all tomorrow.